I'm Kristen, Vice President of the Northeastern Pennsylvania Synod. A short while ago, our ELCA Secretary, Deacon Sue Rothmeyer, posted a video about parliamentary procedure for the ELCA Churchwide Assembly. You can find the video here, but I'm a visual person, so I thought I'd put our Secretary's words to pictures for myself. I thought I'd share them with you. From this point forward, I wanted to be clear, I am using her words directly from the video, so there are no misinterpretations. Secretary Rothmeyer shares with us, the purpose for the video is twofold. First, to increase your understanding of applicable rules to facilitate our discussion and debate. And second, to reduce any anxiety you may have about participating in the important deliberative process by which the Assembly makes decisions. An important purpose of legislative bodies, including congregation meetings, synod assemblies, and the Churchwide Assembly, is to facilitate wise decision-making. And we can do so by helping you, as voting members, to have a basic understanding of parliamentary procedure. From both the churchly perspective and a legal perspective, the Churchwide Assembly is a legislative body that is required to meet and act on important issues. It is the highest legislative authority of the churchwide organization and shall deal with all matters which are necessary in pursuit of the purposes and functions of this church. With 902 voting members, we must have rules to regulate the deliberative process and make it more efficient. The rules are laid out in 3 places: the governing documents of this church, including the Constitution, bylaws, and continuing resolutions, the rules of organization and procedure that will be adopted by you in the first plenary session of the Assembly, and Robert's Rules of Order. The Constitution, bylaws, and continuing resolutions of the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America are the governing documents of this church. They can be amended by the Churchwide Assembly only by the process described in Chapter 22 of the Constitution. They cannot be amended by an Assembly rule, and a rule cannot conflict with a constitutional or bylaw provision. The Constitution and bylaws take precedence over both the rules of organization and procedure and Robert's Rules of Order. A majority vote of those present and voting is required to pass most proposed actions unless there is a bylaw or rule that specifies differently. Chapter 12 of the Constitution, Bylaws, and Continuing Resolutions of the ELCA addresses the proceedings of the Churchwide Assembly. Bylaw 123109 provides that the Churchwide Assembly will use Robert's Rules of Order, latest edition, for parliamentary procedures unless otherwise ordered by the Assembly. That last phrase, unless otherwise ordered by the Assembly, authorizes the Churchwide Assembly to adopt rules of organization and procedure. The rules of organization are proposed by the Church Council and will be distributed with the materials you will receive before the assembly begins. The rules of organization and procedure have been developed over the years to address situations that are not covered by our governing documents or Robert's Rules of Order, or to modify Robert's Rules of Order based on experience at prior assemblies. Some examples of proposed rules that are different from Robert's Rules include time limits on speeches and deadlines for taking certain actions. The chair, our presiding bishop, will introduce the rules and ask if anyone wants to discuss or move to amend a particular rule. Any voting members can request separate consideration of a particular rule or provide notice of intent to move to amend a rule, including amendment by adding a new rule. After all of these rules are identified, All remaining proposed rules are acted upon en bloc. In other words, they are passed all together with one vote. Because the rules of organization and procedure modify Robert's rules and limit certain rights of voting members, the en bloc adoption requires 2/3 vote for passage. Then, if members have identified specific rules for separate consideration, discussion proceeds through these individual rules one by one. There is an important point regarding adoption of the rules about which you should be aware. If you move to amend a proposed rule by proposing a revision, the motion to amend requires a majority vote to pass. However, the main motion to adopt the rule requires a 2/3 vote. If an individual rule fails to pass and does not become part of the rules of organization and procedure, the basic parliamentary authority, Robert's Rules of Order, applies. If a voting member proposes a brand new rule, it will require a 2/3 vote for passage. The chair will explain the process for adopting the rules again before a vote on them takes place. Once adopted, the rules of organization and procedure will govern our deliberations in plenary session. In order to change the rules once they've been adopted, though, there would need to be a motion to suspend or amend the rules, which requires a 2/3 vote for passage. Please note that as a part of the Caring for Creation initiative of this church, most members will be using electronic tablet devices to access the pre-assembly report. These will allow you to submit resolutions, motions, certain notices, and some nominations electronically. The process for electronic submission is described in the rules. Of course, you always have the option to submit such documents on paper forms, which are available from the Secretary's assistant at the front of the plenary hall. The rules of organization and procedure are important, so you are urged to review them carefully before coming to the assembly. The pre-assembly report also contains a synopsis of Robert's Rules to assist your preparation. If you have questions, be sure to ask them during the voting member orientation when you arrive at assembly. My thanks to our ELCA Secretary, Deacon Sue Rothmeyer, for putting out a video that gives a thorough explanation for what we are able to expect as voting members when it comes to the rules at Churchwide Assembly. I can't wait for Churchwide Assembly, and I hope you're looking forward to it too. I'll see you there.